Okay, we're going to talk about marketing for therapists. I'm going to give you a checklist, a comprehensive checklist for making a marketing plan for your therapy practice in order to start it or grow it. Either way, this is the stuff that I found to work for me. You kind of need a niche, I think, and I provide a whole video on that and I'll link to it. But you want to be noticed. You want people to come to you. And when you're competing with a lot of people, the more you can stand out and be specific about what you do. There's so many reasons why this works, and just watch the video so I go through all of it. So that's number one. Create some sort of niche. Identify who you want to work with, what kind of issues you want to work with. Definitely the issues that you don't want to work with. This is the time to kind of really, even though you might change your mind and that's totally fine, but if you can figure that out early on, it makes everything, like you just build on your knowledge and your practice. And if you're building on a different area, then you lost all that time if you had just chosen the area that you wanted to work with from the beginning. You want to name your practice. It's a practice name or a business name. You could have a business that is your practice is part of. But as far as what you're going to use for a website name, I would say that you should use what we would call keywords in that name. So if you decide you wanted to be an EMDR therapist focused on sexual trauma, then you want to make sure that at least, EMDR or sexual trauma, some sort of thing like that is showing up as your website name, because Google right away, when they say, hey, these people went through the effort of actually putting these words in this website name, I think that gives them legitimacy, so they'll rank you higher than somebody that doesn't have that. So that's one thing about creating a name. Again, if you're going to be an EMDR therapist that focuses on sexual abuse, you want to make sure that your website is optimized for this, that you have a lot of stuff on EMDR and you have a lot of stuff on sexual abuse, and that you can show Google that you're legitimate. The more information you can show Google that you have, especially if it's innovative, the more they're going to trust who you are. I also have a video on naming your practice. I'll link it below so that you can take a look. SEO is a huge way to have people notice you. SEO just means, how do I get Google to rank me higher than other people? So you want to make sure that you're doing local SEO and regular SEO. I'll link to some videos that I think have helped me. Again, you can pay somebody to do this. I've done it all myself, but if you don't want to do that, then you can hire somebody to do the local SEO or the regular SEO. But important stuff to do, because if you don't attend to your SEO, then Google's not going to rank you higher than somebody else. Another great way to get referrals, get clients coming to you, is to network with your community of professionals. Like, go and get together for coffee, or go to meetup groups, or go to conferences, or go to workshops, all kinds of things where you're in contact with these other professionals, because at one point or another, they're going to have a client, or they're going to have somebody that asks them, hey, do you know somebody that does blah, 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 blah. And so right away, they're going to give your name out, especially if you're in contact and you've talked about it. Another way is to network in your community, maybe not in your professional area, but in your community, where you're maybe giving a free talk to a group of girls that had gone through sexual abuse, for example, or you volunteer at the local women's center for battered women. Another way to get clients is to, like, if you're a sex therapist like me, you would probably want to have some contacts with urologists or gynecologists that would refer clients, because a lot of what shows up to their practice is psychological, and so they're constantly saying, hey, this is not physical, this is something else, go and talk to so and so. Use social media. Social media is tricky because some clients don't want to see their therapist on social media. I don't know why, but I've been told that a few times. But then there's some kick-ass therapists out there on social media, which I'm sure that they are bombarded with requests to be seen by them. So I think it's more about like what makes you feel comfortable, but social media is definitely a way to get your name noticed. Free consultations. I've gone back and forth on this. Obviously, it's important for the client, especially if you're going to make a commitment of weekly therapy for like a year. You want to say, hey, is this going to work for us? Because the assumption is that you're going to do weekly therapy for a year. So a 20-minute consultation makes sense in that scenario. For me, it depends whether I'm giving free consultations or not. For me, it's like, sometimes I can get through an issue in one session, and some people don't have the money for more than one session, and so they just want like, hey, this is my issue, what should I do about it? And you just point out so many different things that they can do about it, and give them an understanding of it, kind of wrap it up in a package in one session. Sometimes I see somebody for one session, or sometimes I see them for 3 months, or sometimes I see them for 3 years. The point being is that 20 minutes for me is a lot of time. By minute 20, I've already conceptualized the issue. That's a lot of work for me. And so I feel like it's a waste of time for me, basically, even though I know that it's good for the client to be able to put the face and vibe to what they're going to commit to. But for me, they can do 1 or 2 sessions. They don't have to commit. Definitely don't want anybody committing to like years of therapy with me. I want to get them out as quickly as I can, mostly for my benefit, because do I want to drag out a problem that we've been talking about for a year and there's no movement? Oh my God, that would be so frustrating. No, let's do this a little quicker, right? You can do paid advertising. I've seen therapists do it. Again, clients can get kind of like, oh, my therapist is advertising. They feel a little weird about that. But yeah, that's kind of like a personal choice whether you want to put it on. But I would say Google Ads is the place where I see it most. So I would go that way. Professional development is good, not just because you need certain CEUs to keep your license going, but also because then you're in contact with other professionals that can refer to you eventually, and that you can refer to them as well. Do video marketing. I'm here on YouTube. This is not my comfort zone, but I'm doing it because I realize that this is the future. This is where we're going. And so if you have any inclination as to doing video, then get on there, because what it does is it creates this fund of knowledge for people to get at, even if they can't pay for your hour. But also because they get to know you very well before they even come to see you. They've applied some of the things that you've already talked about. They kind of worked, but maybe they need a little bit more work, and so they reach out to you. That type of thing. Video market is the way to go from now on, as far as I'm concerned. Reviews, that is a tricky one, because you're not allowed to ask your client for a review. The licensure boards say, no way, that is so inappropriate. It's a crossing of boundaries, it's a break of trust, it's kind of pressure to the client to give you a good review because of the relationship that you have. So it's a no-no. Now, it's good for your Google rankings to have reviews. So if you happen to have a client that gives you a review, that's a really good thing. I guess what you want to do is make sure that it's easily available to them if they wanted to, like even having a button on your email that says, I would like to leave a review, right? Something like that. But the more positive reviews, the more you rank on Google. The flip side to that is that if you allow Google reviews, I don't even know if you can change it actually, but what happens is that I have 2 reviews there that are so negative, and it was from people that had some issues, seriously, like they flew off the handle about one thing or another, that they felt you could just see the pain in these people, and so they write you a bad review because all these reasons, right? So you have to deal with stuff like that, and it's unfair too, because it has no reflection on your work whatsoever. It's just this disgruntled person. So maybe you might want to think about whether you want to turn that feature on or not. Get a professional headshot. I mean, I can't stress how important that is. That's how people are going to trust you. So go and do it. Get something that looks good, that looks professional, that people will trust you with it. You need kind of like a branding, like if you're going to create a website for your marketing, I mean, you have to do it for your business, and then you're going to have a YouTube video because you're going to do some video marketing. You want everything to kind of like hold together, like branding. So you want to make sure you think about like, what colors do I want to use? What fonts do I want to use? How do I want to be seen? Who's my, what they call avatar? Who's my ideal client? What am I trying to do? So everything that you want your business to be about, to say about you, then you want to have this sort of package. And there's tons of videos on this as well, but I think it's nice for a client to have maybe a nice warm color on your website, and then go to the nice warm color on your YouTube, and not go from like nice warm color to like neon color, so that everybody's talking the same language.